Not the end of the world. A boom. Yeah, well, like, it's so satisfying to play though. It's also so nice. The thing that I don't like about the BV is I constantly get baited into trying to look at how many stacks I have, and I'm trying to maintain 10, even though I don't have to. But yeah, possessed, reduce damage from crit, Deli at the end of the map. Damage is good, you know. Tank is good, damage is good, speed is good. Like, it's just so nice. It's just so nice. I'm so sad thinking about this, that this doesn't exist in normal leagues, and this will end soon. So I just want to play it as much as I can. Which is why I was postponing to make a video, because when I tried to make a video, I spent so much time, like today, like it's 2 a.m. Whatever. Okay, let's just focus on the build. Hello, I cooked the build again. It is a POG Shaman, I like to call that. It's an auto bomber. It's a pretty fast build. Right now I'm playing with a mage blood, but it doesn't matter. This is not a mage blood build. I am converting it slowly, step by step, into a setup which is reliant on the mage blood more and more. But I will talk about that in the POB section. I have a POB with both the mage blood, the bad belt setup, and also the AoE normal setup, which is rare belt or headhunter belt. You can choose whatever, right? The thing is, we're playing Bladeful of Trarthus for the odd bomber aspect. It is pretty good. It's not like the best thing. It doesn't shoot fast enough where you can like phase run, ball haste, and everything, and then actually be able to hit every single pack, right? If you run too fast, it drops behind you. But we mitigate that problem a little bit with the Giga Explode. So, right, like explode chaining. How are we achieving that? It's with Obliteration Wand plus one Unspeakable Gifts cluster. Just the cheapest version you can get here. And then I'm getting a bunch of AoE, Towering Threat, Assert Dominance. We have 4 of those. And yeah, like it's a BV build, but it doesn't have to be a BV build, but it's mainly like, right, what is the build? What's going on here? What is this ascendancy doing for me, and so on. Let's quickly mention that, and then I'll go into a map, and then we'll talk about the POB. So just a TLDR of the build would be stacking life. How do we stack life? We're going for Sanguine Power Ascendancy, which allows me to get energy shield gear, such as this body armor, and then all of this energy shield is life, right? We just convert all of the energy shield into life from gear. Then we get this Runegraft of the Witchmark. This is like basically the enabler of this whole synergistic package. It's pretty expensive. Witchgraft, Witchmark. 25 divines, yep. It's pretty stable at that point, but it's a little bit expensive, but it's worth. It's such a cool build. I like it so much. So, right, so we get this. And what does this give me? This gives me the flat percent damage is like whatever. We don't care about that part. Spells cost plus 8% of life. Right? So we stack a bunch of life, and then 8% of that life becomes my flat cost of the spell. And then we go for Nightblood. Spells you cast yourself gain added physical damage equal to 80% of life cost, if the life cost is not higher than the maximum you could spend. So we basically get a bunch of life, and we convert that into applied damage. And then Wrathfit, we have a bunch of percent damage scaling, a bunch of percent spell crit chance. Like, this is not revolutionary, this is just a simple thing, right? It's simply unique. But the thing here is the cost multipliers on support gems, they matter. Like, you can't just put any random bis support gems that show the most damage in POB. Because if you exceed the amount of life that you have, you cannot cast your spell. So for example, like if I add Conk Effect here, boom, it costs 14,900 life. I don't have that much, so I cannot actually activate my spell, and it loses all the damage because I can't spend that. I can't cast it. Right, so why the hell am I at this setup? Well, I played a scuffed setup where I didn't have Petrified Blood. I was going Blood Magic, and Blood Magic Dissolution of the Flesh setup felt super weird. it was so inconsistently shit. I don't know, like it was good, and then just sometimes shit, like especially while clearing. But now this setup feels so good. So yeah, I don't have the most life possible. Like I could push to 30k life with like GG gear, which I will try to achieve. We have what, like 9 days left, and I have -1 day at least, -2 days. Yeah, so we'll see what I can accomplish. But this is only available in the Phrecia League because of this ascendancy. But yeah, okay. So let's focus really quick. This tree is for the Mage Blood setup. I am slowly changing the build from a non-Mage Blood to a Mage Blood. But I'll talk about a different setup where you don't have a Mage Blood, don't need a Mage Blood. So that definitely don't need a Mage Blood, but it's just, the zoomies, the consistency, like I have enough damage, I have enough tank, I just wanted it to go fast, consistently. So here we are. Right. It's technically a BV build, but BV is melee, right? And melee is not necessarily the nicest thing all the time. So someone in my chat suggested Cremation of the Volcano when I was thinking, like, what can I play? Something that doesn't need to be spammed constantly to, like, have some damage. Something that lingers and something that is just good. And you can basically just swap it 1-to-1, same supports. It also benefits from Unleash. You can have 6 gazers at once, and they're basically, it's just boom, boom, and I have full damage. And it's raining projectiles for a while. The nice thing is that, like, for example, in breach encounters, you can just do this. Once in a while, cast on one side, on the other side, and then, with full screen coverage for 3 screens kind of thing. It's pretty good. Both skills have their upsides and downsides. Obviously, BV is nice because it's damage that's walking with you. You don't really slow down by getting more zoomies. So, like, for example, I get Rampage gloves here, and Rampage stacks up to, what, 50% movement speed on top of everything that I have. So we do get quite a substantial amount of movement speed. And believe it or not, Trarthus, it starts lagging behind a little bit when you go too fast. So if the density is good, it doesn't matter because we have a Giga Explode, right? It is just chaining. But yeah, I don't know if I need to say anything else. BV is nice in that sense, but this is a range skill. It's better for boss killing, even though it's less damage than BV plus Val BV, but it's ranged. It hits more frequently, so the ramps the wither faster and stuff like that. But both are very playable. I enjoyed playing both setups. You could play more duration instead of void manipulation if you really want comfortability. Anyway, yeah, you can do that. You don't have to. You can. But yeah, if you look at my links, they're pretty weird. I have faster casting on a BV build with Unleash. This is basically just a cost multiplier setup that is perfectly set up for my life. It doesn't matter how much life exactly you have, it's just a multiplier based on your max life. It will always be in line. So, like, for example, this is a 30% multiplier, 40%, 300 with life tap, 30% multiplier, and 110. So if you have one of them that are 130, for example, like you swap Conk Effect instead of NKOE, and now it costs 12,600, you can't cast this, you lose the damage, and you can't do anything, right? So it has to be a 130 multiplier plus faster casting, or you can just swap these out, and it is more damage, quite a bit, if you do this swap. But, I don't want to play BV with Conk Effect for mapping, like, hello. Although technically I don't need it because I have Bladefall of Trarthus. And I'll show this in a sec in a map. Like, you technically don't need the BV, but it's an added advantage. It's good. Right. So, as you can see here, I have Harbingers. My thing here, the idle setup, is also just a bunch of Harbingers, as much as I could get, plus some Syndicate. And then I have Beyond Scarab of the Invasion. And it spawns so many monsters. Like, all of the Harbingers are King Harbingers. It's pretty good XP, a decent return, like loot-wise. It's not optimized for profit making, but yeah. I'm just leveling up in tier 17s with this build. I'm 98.5. I did die a few times in the tier 17s. Sometimes, like, the combinations get a bit cracked. Sometimes damage overwhelms me. So the thing is, I'm doing something that is completely the opposite of what I should be doing. So this build, because of the dissolution of the flesh setup, doesn't want to be constantly taking damage. So in a normal map scenario, if you don't have harbingers, you're running through everything and you're just like killing, one-shotting, exploding, and then when you take damage, it's fine. I have a bunch of block, currently 67, 75. So I don't even take damage that often, and then when I take it, I'm very tanky because of Petrified Blood plus this life dissolution setup. It's basically as if I have, well, like 30,000 life for the purpose of max hit. Like half of the damage that I take doesn't even reserve the life, so that's why Petrified Blood is so good, and also it doesn't disable the recharge rate. Like I played a different setup at the beginning with the blood magic, and I was starting to have bad thoughts that I will have to abandon the build, that it's shit, that I will not like it. But then I didn't give up, and I just started to, like, you know what? Sure, let's just drop some life, try to optimize in a better way, different way, get some block, get some, like, you know, I started reading up on why the hell is my dissolution of the flesh setup recharge rate not working sometimes, because like I get hit by the monsters. I went into blood aqueducts, removed all block, removed all, like, I don't know, like sometimes it disables my recharge, sometimes it doesn't. Melee hits work differently from range hits. I don't know, like there's some booty shit. Anyway, with Petrified Blood, with block, with the setup, amazing. So what I wanted to say, oops, I didn't mean to go into that map. What I wanted to say is that Harbingers is the complete opposite thing of what I should be doing. Reduce them from crits, yeah, whatever. It will be a lot less damage on the boss and on everything, but should be totally fine. Okay, so just run a Harby here. It's more Harby, everything just Harby plus beyond. And go. So what I wanted to show here, I could show just a random tier 16 and it's gonna be like buttery smooth and nothing can do anything to me. But yeah, we just enter a map, click my Bladefall of Trarthus, and I could just run, like I can just literally run and do nothing else, right? And just everything's just exploding. All right, well, phase run probably. Yeah, I mean, it speeds up a little bit if you click BV. And I have Val Cold Snap here to generate some frenzy charges. Right now I don't have a generation source for those, so that's pretty good. Get more damage. But I'm planning to get it on a ring. Yeah, as you can see, like I'm just running, phase run, boom, boom. And I can go into a full pack of harbingers, like stand here with the tornadoes. Like as long as you don't intentionally feed and don't stay for too long, you should be fine. But like harbingers, like like this kind of cracked setup, a bunch of ball lightnings constantly shooting at you. Sometimes you'll get unlucky. Oh, you'll get unlucky and then you just don't block, or the damage is just like way too cracked. Right, whatever. And you can die. I have died like this. Sometimes some shit will happen, but for the most part, this feels very comfortable. I can tank a bunch. You know, I shouldn't be standing like this for no reason. That's why I kind of like the cremation volcano thingy. You just pop it in the center of the harbinger. Like I can show that real quick. Well, right, I don't need to click it, but yeah. So here's Harby. I'll pop one there on the right side. Pop on the left side. Keeps doing damage while I'm looting. Pop another one on the right side. And one on the left side. You know, like the volcano thing has its own merits. It's kind of nice. Or I can just click nothing and just run. And delete up tier 17s. Obviously, rares are very, very tanky, so they might not get one shot with the Bladefall of Trarthus. There's an angle to 6-link the Bladefall of Trarthus, and I tried that. but I felt like they still don't get one shot, the rares. So might as well just have better single target damage with a 6-link actual spell. But yeah, like I'm just running right now. And when you see that you're actually not one-shotting something rares or a huge pack, then you just cast, delete everything. Also, I keep forgetting to click phase run. Whatever. Failed to defend. Yeah, I'm yapping. I can't focus. I'm tired. It's late at night. Sorry. Anyway. Hopefully that showcases... Oh, let's go do the boss. Right. Let's go do the boss. I'll probably not finish the map. Minus Emir, potentially. Surely not. Hopefully not. But... yeah. Yeah. Explodey. Heralds. Tanky. Zoomy. Damage. I like this so much. Yeah, so one thing that I could get, like phase run on kill, for example, on an Abyss Jewel, it is hard to fit that in because I would have to sacrifice a Void Shock or Crit Multi. Yeah, Void Shock is not another thing that I can sacrifice, so probably just drop some Crit Multi. It's not the end of the world. Boom. Yeah, well, it's so satisfying to play though. It's also so nice. Like I tried to do some nasty mods as well, like for example the 5% life, energy shield, and mana removal on hit from monsters, right? The tier 17 mod. With Harbingers, with the ball lightnings, and I did that map. I died once that map because, well, too many ball lightnings. Like it was a cracked amount of ball lightnings. It was just like I'm alive at full HP and then it, like completely gone. Which doesn't happen at all. So yeah, okay, where's the boss, man? Oh, the boss is not here. Where is the boss? Oh, there's the deli boss. I have a focus button. It is basically for the helmet. I have life tap, despair, and assassin's mark. Life tap is basically so I can run no recovery, no region maps. And also, well, I don't have any mana. So I have to put it there. Since I'm not playing blood magic. Okay, I'm a little lost. But yeah, okay. Let's just go back to BV. Let's go find the boss. The thing that I don't like about the BV is I constantly get baited into trying to look at how many stacks I have, and I'm trying to maintain 10, even though I don't have to. But yeah, possessed. Reduce damage from crit. Deli at the end of the map. Damage is good, you know. Tank is good. Damage is good. Speed is good. I like it. Like it's just so nice. It's just so nice. I'm so sad thinking about this, that this doesn't exist in normal leagues, and this will end soon. So I just want to play it as much as I can. Which is why I was postponing to make a video, because when I tried to make a video, I spent so much time, like today, like it's 2 a.m. Whatever. Okay, let's just focus on the build. So, the map showcase, the damage showcase, the tank showcase, you can see it works, it functions, it's nice, it's good. Yeah, okay, so what the hell is going on? I explained the setup, right? We stack life, we increase the cost, we get a bunch of flat, we get a bunch of percent damage, percent spell crit chance from stacking life, so more life is better, but I opted out for like a more well-rounded setup rather than just big number of life. Yeah, let's go to POE. So currently, yeah, I'm playing with the bad belt. This is the bad belt setup, the mage blood setup. It is very, very good. And this is the tree. This is where we put Falborn Red Dream. We tattoo the strength nodes into Fire Res, Fire Res, Fire Res, Fire Res here. This pathing right here allows me to get another Rune Graft of the Varp. The first one that I put is here. So this is debatable. I have it here. It's very expensive, so that's where I have it. You could drop this whole section right here and then just get more life. But this allows me to run less recovery maps. Without this, less recovery maps are actually kind of like painful. Like, you can still do them, but it's, you know, the life recharge is pretty slow. It is pretty slow. But for BV, it's enough because you need to wait for 4 stacks anyway. So it's playable without it. You could technically just put it here and then get more life or something that you want. But this is nice. Plus, one more thing. If you get all your items crafted with, like, for example, rare gloves as well. I have rampage gloves, zoomies, boomies, spell crit base. You can get percent life implicit as well, and then these gloves are really competitive even with the rares. Obviously, rares will give you more life no matter what, but you can craft the gloves, the boots, and the helmet with energy shield recharge rate on the suffix. And if you have this much plus this here, I'm pretty sure that you will have enough recharge rate to play some other skill that doesn't need lingering duration. So for example, like something like Spark with Spell Echo, obviously you wouldn't play this exact setup. You would want different clusters with Pierce and projectile speed and stuff like that. But having enough recharge rate will enable you to sustain like the full, or well, half life cost to be consumed constantly, frequently. Because you can basically double this. So if you double this, you can actually cast quite frequently. Not too frequently, but with Spell Echo, I don't know. I don't know if you really want to do that, but it opens up possibilities to play different skills if you, for some reason, would want to do that. The things that need to be mentioned. So, Dissolution to Flesh builds want to mitigate damage over time effects. How am I doing that? First things first, Pantheon. Unaffected by Burning Ground. We get rid of that degen very nicely, very easily. Then the other thing is Ignite. We have Stormcloud Jewel. Avoid Shock. How do we get Avoid Shock? We get an Abyssal Jewel with 50% Avoid Shock on one here. And then I have a Abyssal Socket Fractured Lich Circlet. This is a pretty cool helmet I crafted myself. But, well, technically, you could just drop one Juicy Jewel and then have it there, and then you don't need the Abyssal Socket. So you want this eventually, but this is not mandatory. But yeah, just basically life, crit multi, avoid shock. And that's my ailment immunity. The next thing is bleed. So this is where I will use the POB. In the Mage Blood setup, what I'm doing is I'm just using a flask. Immunity to bleeding and corrupting blood, which means that we can get better jewels. We don't need the corrupting blood implicit. Plus, we get immunity to normal bleed. In the lesser version, well, lesser version is a bit scuffed, but we can use tattoos to get the chance to avoid bleed. Basically, just 10 strength nodes converted into this gives you 100% avoid bleed. Plus, you get a corrupting blood implicit on a jewel, and you're good to go. You might also wonder why am I tattooing strength nodes? Strength nodes should give me life. Well, I'm using Supreme Ostentation so that I can ignore all my attribute requirements. It opens up more suffixes, which early gear allows me for easier resistance capping, which is a bit of an issue because Bog Shaman gives me minus 40 all res. So to counteract that, right here we can see I go for this position for Foulborn, Red Dream. This is very like, it's actually slightly better than this in terms of like what you get on that side that I have right now. But, or rather the other way around. This is slightly better because this saves one passive point, but this is just more efficient in terms of like overall gearing. If you don't have a Mage Blood, if you don't have infinite resistances from one flask, right, this is for sure the play. This is what I was doing earlier. And this also allows you for a very nice, easy swap for bossing. Like if you want to do some overbossing, what I did was I just swapped to a brand, Penance Brand of Dissipation, So you swap the clusters, get 3 remarkables to cast 2 brands at once. You get the brand masteries for +2 brand attachment range. You know, like the rune binder. Get some cast speed going instead of AoE. And then you just use a 6-link penance brand with, well, you can find it here, brand for bossing. So I'm not gonna go into details on that one, but I did that. I did Boober Elders. I did 200 of them. Yeah, it was good actually. I made a lot of money, so that's how I afforded everything. But yeah, that's how my adventure started. It was a scuffed life stacker. I swapped way too early. I forgot that I need this rune graft. Like need. This is 94% of my damage. It was very expensive. I had 0 money after swapping, and I realized that I need this. And I can't get it because it's like 20, 30, 40 divines. So I played a life stacker with a scuffed setup on a bulk shaman. But it worked out. It dealt enough damage. I was able to do tier 16 bosses and farm up the currency to get the rune graft. And then, like, I was missing 2 or 3 divines until a rune graft, and then I was like, you know what if I gamble a little bit? And then I did 3-to-1 random rune grafts, and boom. I hit this myself. With a vendor recipe, 3-to-1 random rune graft. GG. Saved a lot of money. That was good. It was like 7 tries, and I won the game. Pretty lucky. I don't know how rare it is to do that with 3-to-1, but I've heard other people also hit it. Gamble at your own risk is all I'm gonna say. Okay, so we covered Burning Ground, Ignite from Ailment Immunity, Storm Shroud Jewel with Avoid Shock, Abyssal Jewels. Then, right, Bleed, we covered Bleed. So this is what you do earlier, and then with the Mage Blood, you don't need anything on the tree. All of your tattoos can be block attack damage to get more block. Plus, on the Mage Blood setup, you have less chaos resistance, or no, on the non-Mage Blood setup, you have less chaos resistance, so you can tattoo the intelligence nodes into chaos resistance as much as you need, plus lightning resistance, right? So you just basically fix resistances on the tattoos, whereas on the Mage Blood setup, I don't need the resistances, so I can get 50% reduced damage from critical strikes, which is obviously very strong. Plus, on the Mage Blood setup, where I swap from this side of the jewel to this side, also this becomes not very efficient to go for the Timeless Jewel here. And I try to find a good setup here. But basically, this makes me unable to go into a brand setup, right? But I don't need to, but I mean, Penance Brand is just like the best bossing skill, and no matter what, like compared to the other skills that I can play here. So if you're planning to do bossing, this is not the recommended pathing. The recommended thing is right there. But if you go here, you actually save passive point, 1 passive point, by not doing that thing. Well, whatever, right. What this gives me is spell block. Without this node, I don't have any means to actually get enough spell block to get close to capped. So this is very nice. Obviously, you can get some good combinations here, but this league doesn't have that many Timeless Jewels. I spent a lot of time searching, looking through various combinations, but didn't happen. Obviously, if you can get like a really juicy setup like this, where you like hit a bunch of life here, crit multi, this is very good and point efficient. But there's nothing on the market right now that I can buy. So I just opted out for 1 mod. Easy to get, plenty of those on the market. And this is the main thing that you want here that you can get on the tree anyway. Right, so for the AoE setup, a Natural Instinct, I don't think I need to mention why this is here. Just AoE cast speed, duration, just goodies, mainly AoE, because I want the big AoE on my BV. It's 3.4, it's not big enough, but it is big enough, if you know what I mean. I digressed a little bit. The damage over time thingies that we want to mitigate. We also want to mitigate poison, and the way we mitigate this is by using an essence of delirium, I think. I think I still have a few. Yeah, boots. Cannot be poisoned. That's how I crafted my boots. So my boots currently are worse than what I have in the POB. Obviously, Getting tier 1 prefixes would be better, but it is a very, well, very difficult. It's just more expensive to get triple tier 1 prefixes. It is quite expensive. You probably want a fracture, cannot be poisoned. You just basically craft prefixes and then Eldritch currency the suffixes. Especially because you can craft 1 resistance and kind of be okay with it. So yeah, that's poison, and that's about it. Burning ground, ignite, bleed, corrupting blood, poison. The other things you can't really mitigate, like the damage over time effects on the ground. What is worth covering? I guess the crit chance on this on the body armor. This is pretty important. It's like what if like 15% damage. You basically just get a triple tier 1 prefix with tier 1 resistance, and then it's 1 in 8 to slime, or if it's very expensive to slime or the bases are very expensive, then obviously you can't do that a lot of times. So you just do triple tier 1 prefix, slime, hunter, exalt, and then reforge caster. It's a 50-50 to hit tier 1. I got unlucky and I had to roll a lot of times, but the lucky thing is that when I rolled mine, it was a lot of rerolls, but then it just hit the tier 1 cold res with the reforge caster. So that was pretty good. I got the thing that I wanted, because resistance is what you want here. Crit, if I remove it, yeah, it is at this roll it is 12% more damage. And the crit chance is what we want, because Mariline's Fallacy gives us less critical strike chance, but it is Calling Strike plus 225 multi. This is incredibly nice. And as you can see, I get to 99%. The gloves are just a nerve plus life plus energy shield, but I opted out for null and void. This has energy shield, this has some life, and it has rampage. For the zoomies, for clear, I think this is the best option. If you want to push the build, you can craft rare gloves, and then, you know. Also, if you're playing with a headhunter, you probably want to go for rare gloves, because it will be a little bit rougher to cap resistances. But if you have rare gloves with 3 open suffixes, boom, you have a lot of resistances, and then everything is easy and nice, and you don't need cluster jewels with resistances, you don't need tattoos with resistances. You can spend those things for better things. That makes sense, right? The jewel, or the ring, sorry, not jewel. But this could be a vermilion ring. Like, it's so much easier to craft this if you just have a fractured suffix on a vermilion ring, but a synthesized percent life implicit actually gives 1% more life, so I opted to go for that. And the thing is, I got so unlucky on these, on the chaos res. Let's not talk about it. I would recommend, if you don't have a lot of money, to just get a fractured suffix. Probably you have to fracture it yourself, but that's still not going to be more expensive than going for this ring on a synthesized base. And you don't really get that much. But you basically want, as you can see, I have cast speed, which is not ideal. I just was using my essence until I hit chaos res, and then it just hit the cast speed. So I was unlucky, and then kind of lucky. So I can't really roll on this ring anymore because this is GG. But I want a Veiled Frenzy Charge. Because Veiled Frenzy Charge would, well, with duplicated Calandra's Touch, that would be 2 frenzies. So there's only 1 missing. But technically you could go get the Rampage Gloves. You could get those with +1 frenzy for more damage. And yeah, it's just like frenzy on kill, which means that you can drop Val Cold Snap. And if you can drop Val Cold Snap, you can play Val Haste for more zoomies. Or you can do Withering Step instead. And this basically jump starts the Wither debuffs on the boss, which helps to ramp the damage faster. Because that's basically like the biggest ramp. It's like doubles the damage that we do when we go from 0 to 100 withered, or well, 100% of withered available 15 stacks. What else? Right. Old grafts. You want percent life, and you want battering old graft plus hardening old graft. This is like, it's so nice because it makes me permanently have endurance charges. It gives recovery. There's also a mod on the suffix, which I got today. It gives up to 10% attack block for the duration. So if you can get this with some cooldown or increased duration of the buff, you can basically have capped attack block almost all the time. And then because we're taking this mastery right here, 1% chance to block spell damage per 5 chance to block attack damage, well, we basically get another 2 spell block if you don't have the perfect setup. Which, by perfect setup, I mean this. If you just have 15% and you get that mod for the block. The main thing is spell block, because most of the things that hit frequently, in my opinion, are spells. Things that hit the hardest are spells, so spell block is priority. However, in the even later endgame, when I replace my Marilyn's Fallacy with a misted focused amulet, I believe it's called, a bunch of life, a bunch of crit multi, it actually beats this, but very expensive. But then I don't have less crit chance, which means I can drop the diamond flask and I can put evasion flask here, which will give me like 70 effect. Yeah, so that's another 43 evade just from the flask. It's very nice. That's gonna be one evasive character. It's not very different, like the Mage Blood setup and the non-Mage Blood setup. It's not that different at the beginning, because like you can play with the same tree, like this tree, without swapping. You just want to change the tattoos into block, but don't do the same mistake if you're planning to swap in the endgame setup that I have right now. For example, I tattooed these nodes because I was like, well, I'm always traveling here, so might as well tattoo these in advance. But now I'm destroying them with nothing, so -2 divines or so here. Not the worst, not the end of the world, but whatever. Just, you know, a little heads up. Bad belt, normal AoE. So you can use roomies for early block capping. The main difference is that you want rings like this, which means that you will have less chaos res, but you'll have a bunch of resistance. Like this is not hard to hit, especially if you can settle on one of them being a tier 2. Anyhow. Good build. I don't know, like it's just good build, and there are so many more avenues to upgrade the build from my point, from my setup. I just love it, and I want to play. I want to stop making the video and go play again, but I can't. I need to go to bed. So I will say 07. Have a good night. I hope the video was informative. It is a bit long. I'll try to cut off some pieces that are unnecessary, but yep. Hope you have a good blast if you decide to play the build. And this build is only viable in Phrecia 2.0 right now. We have a week left for it. So if you want to play it, you should play it now. Right now. Do it. All right. Bye.